Thank you for having me.
Let's go to the Middle East now. And the head of UNRWA says Israel has told the United Nations it will no longer approve the Palestinian Refugee Agency's food convoys to the north of Gaza. The head of UNRWA, Philippe Lazzarini, says the restrictions must be lifted. It comes as Israel's defense minister travels to Washington, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu coming under increasing pressure from the US to halt its planned assault on Rafah in southern Gaza. The health ministry in Gaza, which is run by Hamas, says 19 people waiting for aid near Gaza City were killed by Israeli forces on Saturday. That is a claim Israel has denied. Meanwhile, the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has continued his call for a humanitarian ceasefire after a visit to Egypt, saying Israel should remove the remaining obstacles from getting aid into the territory. Let's speak now to Juliette Touma, Director of Communications at the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine. Ms. Touma, thank you very much for being with us. What's your immediate reaction to this message from Israel that it will no longer allow your aid trucks into the territory?
Well, it's simply outrageous. The clock is ticking, and with this recent decision, the clock will be ticking even faster towards famine. There's more than 250,000 people who depend on UNRWA's food assistance in the north, and we haven't been able to reach them for the past 2 months.
Do you think UNRWA has done enough to appease Israel? Israel has repeatedly claimed that UNRWA employees have been involved in the October attacks. It has detained some people, if I'm not mistaken, and it does say it wants the UN and UNRWA to frankly do better when it comes to ensuring that its staff are appropriate. Do you think you've done enough?
Look, with regards to these allegations that are very, very serious, they were about allegations of involvement of 12 staff out of 30,000 staff in the horrific attacks on Israel on the 7th of October. We have immediately asked for an investigation, which is currently ongoing, and the Commissioner General of UNRWA has fired all these employees, right? And meanwhile, there is a very serious humanitarian crisis happening on the ground, and we got to do our work. We are the largest United Nations agency, the largest humanitarian platform for people in Gaza. 2 million people depend on UNRWA and our staff and our assistance.
We hear a lot about the necessity for aid to get into Gaza, and that's everything from food and water to medical assistance. Can you tell us specifically what it is that you are trying to deliver to Gaza, which you now will not be able to?
I mean, we're talking about the vast majority of the population that has been forced to flee their homes or the places of refuge. At UNRWA alone, we are hosting over 1 million people who live in United Nations UNRWA shelters. They lost everything, and they need everything, and they need the basics. And right now, the most important commodity that people need is food. I would also say that they need safety and they need protection above all, and a ceasefire, which is very, very much overdue.
OK. Juliette Touma, Director of Communications at the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Ms. Touma, thank you very much.